Hi, and welcome to the GameDev Meetup 90. This time we'll have two presentations, and the first one will be from Jari-Pekka, and he will tell us about this uh, COVID-19 situation and games industry events now. So Jari, please.
Thank you, Elvis. Yanis asked me to tell about IGDA, this kind of analysis of the games industry events in the post-COVID-19 world. So first, a few words about IGDA. IGDA is an umbrella organization of the 19 trade associations from all over Europe that represent more than 2,500 game developer studios that employ over 40,000 people. And of course, we are not just supporting our member organizations, but also other trade associations through Europe, especially on the event side, trying to connect through our trade mission network, all associations working with the games industry events. And part of that work is also giving this kind of a very general level analysis on what is going to happen. So, what is going to happen? There are lots of scenarios on that, and lots of consulting companies have released a number of reports on this. So already in July 2020, KPMG, that is a big global consulting company, predicted that in one of the scenarios, vaccine would be approved at the start of the next year, 2021. So it looks like it might happen. And for example, in the UK, it would be possible to roll out a vaccine by the end of April. So yeah, it looks like something will be happening at the end of Q1 2021. So Deloitte made a new prediction in August 2020, and they, from their scenario 2 looks at the moment to be on the most, well, not right track, on the promising track to become reality. So they are predicting that economic recovery would begin in late 2021 and be more quicker and more robust in East, meaning Asia mainly. And would be slow during 2022 and speed up on the second half of 2022. So, and the latest one is perhaps from September 2020 from McKinsey. And they are predicting that vaccine distribution would take about, in a best case scenario, as few as 6 months. This would mean that herd immunity would be reached as soon as second quarter of 2021. But on the other hand, it's very hard to say if this will be epidemiological perspective when the pandemic will be end. It might take far more months on top of that. But so it looks like in Q1, something will be happening and on-site events will be slowly perhaps emerging. But if we take gamesconferenceguide.com, that is something that IGDF is supporting, and I was able to help launch this year. If you want to see the current state of the games industry events, go to that website. So we would see that number of events that were planned for the beginning of 2020 were then postponed on the end of the 2020. And now we see the second wave of cancellations. But it's likely that number of the events for the Q1 will be similarly postponed to Q3 or Q4. So there will be lots of on-site and online events also next year. And most of them will be on the second half of the next year. That is, of course, some of the challenge. So to sum it up, if 2020 was the year of the pandemic, 2021 will be the year of COVID-19 recession from the economic perspective. The on-site events will return step by step, starting from most probably Q2 2021. Progress will not be equal. Travel restrictions will be still in place in a number of countries, as the rolling of vaccines will take some time, more in other countries than other ones. So it will be first local events, like this meetup will be happening in Riga, then the national events and regional events like the European events, and in the end, the latest ones will be the global events. We hope to see the Gamescom, for example, to be organized, but most likely it will not be a global event like it used to be, but more this kind of regional European event where the people from Europe hopefully will be already able to travel. So it also means that there will be 1.5 to 2 years separation for European, Asian, and American industry people to meet each other on their games. So, but something really important to keep in mind that this unfortunately most likely will not be the end of the COVID-19. In May 2020, Nature made 3 different scenarios. If the immunity by vaccines lasts less than 40 weeks, it will be an annual influenza-like hurdle to get everyone vaccinated. Scenario 2, if the immunity lasts over 100 weeks, it will be over second year. And scenario 3, if there is a longer immunity and this kind of cross immunity from the other coronaviruses, it might take a few years, but it's most likely will resurface like a zombie some years after. So it's turmoil will be ahead. There will be some calm years at least, and calm times, and hopefully vaccines will work very well and we are able to roll out them quickly and there will be more predictability in the future. So, of course, this will lead some changes. Online events are here to stay. They're not going anyway, but we are moving from online excitement to spring 2020 to online fatigue now on the autumn 2020 to new normal as them to be online, additional online layer on the on-site events or parallel to them. Disruption is just starting. On the long run, online events might be even challenging games media, incubators and accelerators, or even games education itself. And of course, this will be the new requirement. All of us have to build up new equipment, new tools for webinars and streaming and get good web cameras and so on for the future. So I was asked to give a very short presentation to leave some time for questions and discussion. So is there something? Or comments from you guys?
About the online events, what are the main differences? Like, do you see like people demand different? I have heard that in live people actually want presentations and less business. In online events, actually people are not watching any presentations and want business. Have you seen that like change in needs?
Well, first of all, at the moment there is the online fatigue. Like there are so many Zoom calls, online events, everything going on that it's perhaps there was lots of excitement in the beginning of the year. It was easy to get really excited about this. Now we are really tired of all this, hope to see on-site events. So it's really, really hard to say. My prediction is that there will be a place for everything. There will be a place for stored online lectures and conferences in forms of storing information like video blogs are doing at the moment. There will be, of course, on the P2P pitching side, it will make things much easier, but we will still need on-site meetings to actually build up the initial connections, help people to meet randomly. And also, of course, if you are investing on someone's company, you really want to meet them face to face before giving the money to them. It's just normal. So yeah, it's hard to say, but definitely things have changed and these changes are here to stay, but how on the long run they will have an impact, it remains to be seen.
And you said about this online overlay. How do you see it working like in real life? Do you see it like tables with some virtual participants, or your predictions how it will work?
Well, I would say it's more like the virtual reality experimentation we had a few years ago. In the beginning, everyone's building first-person shooters and finding out that it really causes this kind of virtual nausea and everyone's sick. So they went to third eye perspective and it worked much better. So in a similar manner, like now, when the online events were introduced, we were quite a lot just copying what was done on site, but we haven't really found yet what really works online, and we don't have the new tools yet. They are coming. We are seeing the first layers emerging now, and of course, I really hope that VR technology will be there to really provide this kind of immersive experience at some point. But before that, we will need seeing completely new tools combining completely new kinds of experiences, really tailored for this kind of virtual environments. We can already see how many new features we have seen in Zoom, Teams to be introduced, and step by step they will be building new existence on the top of that. But it's for sure it's not our first thought, and for sure there will be tools tailored for different places, like pitching your game. Like we really need some kind of cloud gaming solution for showing a demo of your game for people on the other side of the screen, and that's yet to come.
How do you see this moving online? Do you see it? Do you think that the games industry will benefit from that, like more people accessing the content, or do you think like it's bad for this industry, the whole thing that's happening?
It, of course, people dying to the terrific
yeah, well,
disease,
not talking about that,
thing.
of course.
Yeah,
of course, yeah.
It's really, really
But
awful thing.
I
But
mean
from
that
the events
that
perspective, I would say that it's not good or bad thing. It will accelerate thing, you know. It will make much more information more accessible that might not have been so accessible before. But on the other hand, you still have to travel to be the part of the networks, participate to discussions. So in a certain sense, it will democratize some parts of those discussions and make them more easily available. But on the other hand, the disruption that is going to cause us, of course, is going to be a good thing on the long run. But as usual with the disruption, like games education, games media, accelerators and incubators, they are going to face a significant push to rebuild their activities in this online world from the competition coming from the online events. And that's, of course, is it's a good thing, but it really requires lots of work by many of the people.
Yeah. Well, thank you. That was a good intro into what's happening right now. And thanks. And hope to see you sometime live, maybe after this whole thing ends. And let's now move on to the second presentation, Yaraslau Kot, and he will tell us about how to choose a visual style and setting for your RPG game. So, Yarosław, please.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you, Jari, for a great presentation. And I become like very thoughtful about the first topic, and almost hope that we will make like a round table out of it, discussing the future, because it's a very interesting thing that we had been forced to evolve, which is a good and a bad thing. And we were discussing with, well, Jari had gathered us and had a big discussion, which was very interesting. And so, and it was great presentation. Maybe you noticed that 13th of November, we have the most busy day in the history of conferences. We will have, I think, if I'm mistaken, please fix me, like over 30 conferences in one day online planned to be around. So, but let's get back to my boring compared to the first one topic, which is I made it short just for it's much bigger. I made it short just for 10 minutes as we hoped, and it's about how to choose okay, share computer sound. No, we will not have a video. How to choose basically anything for your game before you start making it, to save some time. I have lots of data, which I will cut for 10 minutes. And if you will have more questions, then perhaps some other data will go on. My name is Yaraslau I, and I'm regional coordinator for Eastern Europe and Asia of International Game Developers Association. I've been in game development for something like 25 years now. Started in the United States, and worked on many titles and still work. And but mainly now I started being active in community and work with different organizations, trying to do or to give back to the community after all these years. So one of this topic, you see how to choose visual style and setting for your RPG, is very important because many people undermined the importance of it. Actually, there are numbers. There is marketing research being done, and a lot of things we actually have access to, but we never use. If we want to make a game as an art form, then we shouldn't really care about what other people think, and just do it for ourselves and for pleasure. But if we want to make a product for someone, and perhaps if you make a casual RPG or maybe hyper casual RPG, who knows, really, or you really want to make a commercial game, uh, then some of these rules and some of these data can be really useful. For example, look, the research demonstrates that top factors that influence mobile game players to try a new game is genre, and genre makes certain expectations. It's not the recommend. Also, 45% are recommendations from the family. That's already, we can analyze to think how to make them all be able to play together. Uh, and but still, genre is the top dog here, and in certain areas, genres make certain set certain expectation for the player. As you see, we've done some analysis. We will use numbers from different areas. Uh, Different countries, they prefer different types of RPGs. Uh, what about how we differ the visual style and the setting, for example? The visual style uh, we will discuss later. Most popular visual styles are cartoon, anime, and realistic. And uh, here we will discuss setting. Setting is realistic historic, realistic modern, fantasy, sci-fi, and hybrid. Hybrid is when you have different styles mixed up. For example, sci-fi fantasy, like Final Fantasy, for example. It has features of sci-fi and fantasy, and sometimes some parts of Final Fantasy are realistic fantasy, but some are not. Okay, so here you can see the breakup. We broke statistics into three main areas: United States, China, and Japan. And now you can see that in United States, the biggest expectation from RPGs is to have modern style RPG. Uh, if they will play RPG, they will expect modern style. In China, if they will play RPG, they would expect fantasy setting, and in Japan, they also prefer fantasy. But still, 29% actually look into realistically modern. All those movies and anime they make, mangas they have about virtual reality becoming real. They actually dream, and they've really desired for it to be so. And you notice that a lot of their titles, like Squaresoft titles and Final Fantasy, for example, as well, they become more and more realistically modern. You actually can see it from. Is this why you can see that realistic modern uh, setting is really hitting as well. Uh, and for US, they don't have that many dreamers. They more like down to earth people. Of course, some examples. For example, if you can see to the left, the top left is realistic historical style game by Warhorse Studios, Kingdom Come Deliverance. That's a great example of realistic historical. But to the right top, we have a modern realistic. Is Modern Warfare, Call of Duty. So basically, you can see that in both we use 3D engines. Down, bottom down is sci-fi and fantasy styles, which actually Horizon is also a mixture of sci-fi and fantasy setting, which is very interesting because hybrid is now as well getting a lot of popularity. Okay, so just to study top 200 United States grossing games, we can see that uh, we can see by the type of gameplay what kind of, but the difficulty and the type of the gameplay, what kind of games are really getting more hits from the players. You can see that casinos, if you make RPG casino, which are still exist there, and then you're expected to make it more modern. Sports as well, they love realistic sports and casual. If you will make mid-core and casual games, they are expected to be, for the mid-core expected to be fantasy, and casual expected to be realistically modern. If we look at Chinese scenery, then you can see the picture is absolutely different for mid-core games. If you will make a mid-core RPG, then I mean you 100% hit is fantasy. Fantasy is very popular there, and you see 15% is hybrid, which is a mixture of sci-fi and fantasy, or something else in fantasy, which fits there as well. And if casual games also they prefer set realistic modern setting. Okay, in Japan, pictures are similar. So basically, if you are making a game and you're preparing to make a casual or mid-core RPG, then your best choice would be a realistic modern for mid-core, and uh, realistic modern for casual, and fantasy for mid-core. It should go better. Okay, for visual style, most popular are so far realistic cartoon and manga. But just to have some examples, you can see it's easy to determine them. I don't think anyone would have any trouble choosing anything, understanding this division. So basically, in the United States, you can see that casual games are preferred to be cartoonish, which is good for us because we have a lot of talented artists in our region. Realistic is basically you can use any engine to do that. So mid-core games are preferable realistic in the United States. This is why a lot of games from our territory, for example, Stalker, uh, Stalker and for example Mafia, they were really popular in the United States because they prefer realistic visual style. And uh, in China, you can see that the for mid-core there as well preferred realistic, and for mid, basically uh, choosing it before choosing the style and the setting before you start RPG will help you with a lot of narrative, because different setting already set some kind of boundaries and create some kind of laws, and we have some milestone of the story for different settings. For example, if you will have fantasy, you definitely will have to create some kind of lore about magic, about some mystery. If you will have a sci-fi, definitely you will have to deal with a lot of tech, and you will have to invent how it works and justify it in the world. And you will have to have some cyborgs or something like that. So basically, choosing that visual style or setting will save a lot of time for you, because there were cases when games had to be popular in this or that area. And also, when you think about where to sell the game, you also can check out the preference of certain areas. Of course, there are exceptions, and your game could be awesome. And also, for example, right now, there are some games which we already have a lot of awesome uh, uh, and right now we have some awesome games which are breaking these rules, and they're already invited and bought out by such companies they were bought for exclusive rights from Microsoft and some other awesome companies. Because also what is researched now by publishers is to have something new. People are looking for something new mechanics, because we have too many clones now. And thankfully, finally, in courts, they're suing for clones. Creators could sue someone who made clone of their games with their mechanics, with everything. But unfortunately, it's not common. And you can see that in Japan, if you're making a mid-core RPG, you're expected to have a anime manga style. So basically, now you see that it's very difficult for us to compete with Japanese developers at Japanese market. And here is the research on the setting and the visual style, the expectancy, and how it works together better. So you can see that realistic historic and realistic modern with realistic visual style, of course. Fantasy with realistic style in US as well goes well. Science fiction, hybrid, and other, they work well. Basically, for US, you should aim for realistic style. And you'll also here you can see that realistic style in China as well goes for most of the settings, which is very interesting. But exceptions, you can see the other nomination, which gives opportunity.
Sorry, you showed in the graph mid-core. Do you mean a mid-core RPG?
Mid-core RPG, yeah.
Okay.
And well, basically, here's for numbers for Japan. Basically, you can see that if you have fantasy, it definitely should be manga, or if you have a hybrid or science fiction, for them it should be manga. Everything else you can experiment with realistic or cartoon visual style. Well, that's 10 minutes. We have some other data for RPGs and some awesome data on expectations. But if you have any questions, maybe I will be able to answer them. Okay.
Yeah, so we had a question is, does this data fit other non-RPGs, or is this only specific to RPGs?
Yeah, it could fit other non-RPGs as well. The thing is that research has been done on visual preferences and visual and more emotional preferences. Of course, RPGs are very huge genre, and you can see that 60 in United States, for example, 62%. Well, it's almost men and women are playing it. It has a huge lifespan, like people from 25 to 44. You can see that 68% of United Kingdom RPG players are from 25 to 44 years old. And they can play few role-playing games at the same time, and their typical play session lasts over 30 minutes in the United States, for example. On 68%, they sit down and they play. It's pretty good genre. It's one of the richest genres, I believe. It could include any other genre. We could have their racing, we could have their puzzles. Anything could become RPG. Just you add on mechanics. We even have action RPG, which isn't actually RPG, but it was inspired and it adopted some of its mechanics. Basically, that's pretty cool area to work with. Yeah. Sorry for taking long for this answer.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I think that's a pretty broad question, but if somebody came to you and said that he wants to make an RPG, what visual style would you suggest going with?
You know, I'm not the best example of doing everything by the book. The last RPG I made was It Lurks Below. I worked with David Brevik, and David Brevik was the only person who was making it. it's pixel art, side view, bloody, gutty, weird looking. It breaks all the boundaries and rules. It's more experimental thing. You know, it depends. Um, it depends on what this game is made for. If you want to make a statement, if you want to impress, if you just want to express yourself, it could be different. Usually, product dictates its necessity. If you want game to be gruesome, uh, you should think it should be a realistic or it should be pixel artish. Right now, a lot of gruesome games are pixel artish, like Blasphemous, for example, and are Hitler's below. uh, and really, um, there should be um, some kind of deep thought of how to make this product complete, how it uh, how it would should look like. Uh, all your choices should be justified. That's if you make it pixel art, you have to justify it. If you will make it realistic, you have to justify it. But you need to justify it with at least your ability to make a good game out of it. As Wojciech Pazder, a great friend of mine and an awesome game designer, maybe you know he's the creator of Farm 51 company, creator of such games as The Witcher first, Painkiller, Necrovision, World War III, and now he released Chernobyl. He told amazing thing to me once that if you use something, you need to make it work. So you need to use it to the fullest. So if someone will ask why you used it, you should say that I couldn't express or or demonstrate certain thing in any other way. It's you should think about this it as a tools for emotions and media. Gruesome things, for example, they uh, and when they pixel artish, your imagination makes it scarier. You should make it really scared, but often on 3D in real life simulation, it looks corny. How to make death look actually scary in real life visual style, in realistic style? Actually, it looks always like a Halloween setup. The best way it looks scary is when it's motionless. You have like bloody spots and everything. It's very difficult to make a nice horror in 3D. But in pixel art, just pull a lot of blood all over and it will just look extremely scary. In cartoons as well. So uh, your game really, your aim will help you. Also, sometimes if you have a good artist which has a strong side in certain visual style, if you don't have an artist but you have awesome like Unreal Engine specialist, then you have to you have to do realistic. But think about how and what you do with it. Just it it all for me it goes with the feeling because I can afford to make games. I work with like game labs and stuff with indies with students. It has space for artistic expression. But when you work in the industry, in casual industry, you really have to abide by the statistics, and that's unfortunately the rule. Unless you really want to do some new project, you have to just to make all your decisions looking at statistics, and you probably will be able to find most of it from people like me, or if you will get business developer marketologists who will make research. Unfortunately, um, in casual and hyper casual areas, all decisions are made for you. There is certain expectation. If you just make it for money, yeah.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but in West, the style has switched from fantasy to realistic now. East stays the same-ish, the manga and fantasy. Where do you see West will go next? Will it go more realistic, or will it come back to fantasy, or what do you think?
Realistic. Of course, pandemic helps to it. People miss beautiful places, traveling, and so on. Virtual reality now is hitting new benchmarks. Is sold well. You discussed the possibilities of having conferences in virtual reality, and with Yari and when we had like a conference just recently from industries of different countries, we actually tried to discuss virtual reality conferences, and many people said that not in my age, it would be very difficult to live there more than 10 minutes. But if we would want, our Belarusian company actually made quite an awesome program for teaching children in virtual. It's called Virtual Classroom, and it's really, it went viral in United States, all over the world. Maybe we will use it. Who knows? Uh, so far, uh, I mean, you really need to also break your players, your target player. You will find your player anyway. This research has been done for all, taking all players all together, but maybe you're not aiming uh, to target most of them. Perhaps you need just your audience, which would be awesome, like Firefly audience. There's, it looks like not many of them, but when there's some kind of the series Firefly, uh, once there's some kind of competition on which series is the best, they are the best organized, the most loyal, and they're ready to spend and fundraise. uh, you need just to hit your specific audience, and that is very interesting. And also, uh, the game should be good and playable, because there are some games uh, which I'm on a jury of different competitions, like right now, for example, in Central and East European Games Awards, and some other gaming competitions. And sometimes you see a nice game which is visually nice. It has a nice video, promotional video, and you think, oh, it should be cool. It looks like Western, like for example, I think Slovakia, they had this mosquito Western cool thing last year. Uh, or for example, here Creeks, I think it was Czech point and click, like some kind of mystery puzzle, beautifully drawn thing. But then you start playing it, and it's actually boring, and you're you don't think it's good anymore. All good music and everything, and good visuals is the wrapping. Yeah, it sells, but the game will be bad. With bad gameplay, it just wouldn't go. David Mulich, who is actually, by the way, if someday I hope he will talk at your meetup, creator of Heroes on Might and Magic 3 and Vampire Masquerade. I'm sure he will talk at your meetup. He's an awesome dude, and
That's a good idea. We'll contact him.
yeah, he visited Belarus, and great friend of ours as well. He's advisor of the board of our association, and he mentioned one thing, that gameplay is the main thing. We just forgot that games started from Miss Pac-Man, Tetris. I mean, and how many gameplay hours it's taking us. I mean, right now I'm having like anniversary competition edition of Pac-Man at my Steam. I mean, that's just one mechanic, but it just goes on and on and on. Uh, Gameplay is very important. Wonderful flavor helps it. Uh, Sometimes it's everything goes just right, and the game becomes masterpiece. But gameplay makes it playable. Uh, People can play something without joy. For example, a lot of people are playing Counter Strike. It's famous, it's huge, amazing game, but I wouldn't vote for it as a game of the year. As World of Tanks, to Belarusian is a blasphemy to say something bad about World of Tanks. But it's not the game I would vote to be the best game of the year ever. I mean, it wouldn't be even nominated from me, because it has only mechanics. it has gameplay. People still playing it. To keep people, to make it playable, and to have your audience. Main idea of what you need to focus on is gameplay. Everything else is important for your game to be masterpiece and recognized, but it's not as important for holding and keeping the audience. Yeah.
And so you tried to fit the whole presentation in 10 minutes, and you succeeded. That's great. But is this research available somewhere in more detail to understand the data, or who made this research? Was it made by you or
Oh,
some?
there are pieces of different researchers of different organizations,
Yeah.
and Super Data and Game Insight and many others, and Unity Entertainment, and uh, we ourselves as well made some research. For by the way, if you're interested, I was one of the 50 authors of the biggest ever role-playing game research ever done and published in a book called Role-Playing Game Studies Transmedia Foundations. It was published in London and New York. You can check it out. It's actually sold.
Okay, we'll add this to the notes. And
so we're doing a lot of researches, but and they can be found. It's my job to find it and show it to students and to some young indies because they not often have time or knowledge where to gather it. To me, they just send it right now. I just get it often and I just get fresh data and put it in my presentation. But at first, I had to look for it, register for it, find friends and stuff. Yes, and some things we really do. VR research, for example, we do ourselves as well.
And if somebody has any questions about RPGs and what to choose, how can they find you online? Maybe social networks. Can people reach you out? Maybe on Twitter or somewhere?
Yes. Okay. Not on Twitter, but better in Facebook or
Okay.
via email. I'll
Okay.
just open it. My email is it's on the bottom. You can see it. I'll just move it a little here like that.
Okay.
So really, you can contact me by this my personal email, and I will try to send you some data or some books, latest books and stuff like that. Actually, it's very interesting. If you will make it your real aim, you can find some cool and awesome research and awesome numbers. It just takes some time to dig. Yeah.
Okay, thanks for the great presentation, and thank you both for being in our meetup. And for those of you watching this stream, see you in GameDev Meetup 91. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Talk to you later. Thank you for the opportunity.